I wanted to take you guys to this spot, but I don't know if you can see that sign in the back. It says Crystal Lake. I doubt you can make that out. And I tried to park over there, but you drive down, see that inlet? You drive down that street and it turns into homes and a bunch of warning signs, private property, don't go down. I'm like, why is there a road? And how do you get to Camp Crystal Lake? For those of you young cats, maybe you don't know, but Crystal Lake, Camp Crystal Lake is where Jason Voorhees, the what is it called? Friday the 13th movie series takes place. And I have to drive by this place once in a while, and every time I see Crystal Lake, I think of that series from the 80s. Did they still remaking Jason, right? We're going to talk about the $18 Big Mac, which is just as terrifying as Camp Crystal Lake and Jason Voorhees coming after you with that hockey mask, the goalie mask, and the machete. What a brilliant, simplistic idea that was. And just so you're aware, this is the Class Warfare. I am Rob. I'm trying to do these live streams 5 days a week, bringing you some kind of information. And right now, it's the time of year where it's earnings calls. You can jump on these earnings calls and listen in. You can watch them on YouTube. Usually they're posted somewhere. But earnings calls are happening across companies, across the board, to tell you how much profit they made. The funny thing about earnings calls is a lot of these companies make profits, have growth, but it's just not enough. It doesn't meet Wall Street's expectations, which a wise person once told me expectations are just resentments under construction. I wonder if anybody told any of these CEOs that. And by the way, where do they get Wall Street's expectations? What does that even mean? Who determines that? Is it all about the shareholders and the investors? Because if the expectations are growth constantly, where does that leave us as people, as an economy? They just have to keep making more money. And that's what we're diving into. So before I get into the $18 Big Mac meal, I hate that in our economy in America we have the Big Mac index, and that's how somehow people have equated how the economy's doing with how much you can afford a Big Mac. Who cares? If you don't have any money, the Big Mac index is irrelevant. But here we are talking about the $18 Big Mac meal, and we'll get to that in a minute. But today sucks. I want to say solidarity to all the working class, to anybody who goes to work and is in the midst of the struggle. Man, I feel your struggle, but today is exceptionally sucky, and it feels like there's no hope. I try to keep a good perspective, but I spend most of the day arguing with God. Are you listening, God? Can you hear me? Or are you just turning a blind eye right now? Because we could really use some help down here. Um, my family, my personal story, just so everybody knows, because I don't think I go into this too often. I love to talk about personal things that happen to me because I think that's how you you can build solidarity once people understand your situation. They might feel more comfortable relating their situation. It's hard for people to open up about a struggle. It's hard for people to open up about how much money they make. It's hard for people to just come out and um, be open and honest about these things because we have this culture in America where if you're not getting fat stacks of cash, then you're worthless. And I think there's more to humanity than that. I also think uh, that the amount of money you have doesn't equate to the value of your life or what you contribute. Uh, because if money did equate, well, what we see here in America is sometimes it does because people who have a lot of money don't have to play by the laws. Remember what I say, if the punishment for a crime is a fine, it's not illegal for the wealthy. But who's some of the richest people? Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, do we think that they are the most important humans in the world, that they contribute the most, that they are more valuable than, I don't know, some artist that's maybe just writing poetry, your favorite singer, your favorite musician? Do these billionaires contribute more than them? I don't think so, but who am I? So before I get into the $18 Big Mac meal, I'm going to keep saying that. Sorry. I'm going through a personal crisis because it's so stressful. Listen, I've been working since the mid 90s. I remember having to go get a worker's permit to prove that I could work. So before that, maybe I was working not on the up and up, but I've been working since the 90s, man. Had a career by the time I was 20, lost my career by before when I was 35, 34, in my early 30s. So I've been working for a long time, doing everything that people said you should. I got a degree, got a career, layoffs happen, things happen, companies, industries, radio turned into just about the investors, the shareholders, the debt holders. That's why you have Ryan Seacrest on every radio station in America, by the way. You could thank you could thank Wall Street and their expectations of more profits every quarter. Not about the quality of anything, but just the quality of the profits. So I've been working for a long time, man. And not only do I have absolutely nothing to show, but now I'm in a situation where my wife works her ass off, okay? She's saved lives through the pandemic. She is a nurse. She has worked tirelessly, thanklessly, working to help humanity. That's why she got into that field. She's educated. She's one of the hardest working people. She's a veteran nurse at her place. And I'm not kidding. Her unit turned into a pandemic unit. That's what I'm going to call it because I don't want to anger YouTube. Um, and she's talked about the loss of life, the life she saved, the families she's helped comfort through this stuff. So, I mean, her work is not easy. And she's been out sick for a week. She's been forced to stay out sick, and her work is fighting her, saying she only has 5 hours of sick time, that she has to earn it. And now we're probably not going to be able to pay rent because without a paycheck coming in, what do you do? And by the way, just for all those people, this podcast is dedicated, or this live stream is dedicated to all the politicians out there who do nothing. You're worthless. Look at your constituency. Okay? My wife's a nurse. She's dedicated to her life to helping the public. And now we're in this predicament for all those people. You just need to work hard enough, get another job. It don't matter. We can't afford nothing. And just so you know, if these politicians want to tell us not to buy a new iPhone, well, I haven't in a long time. Not to eat avocado toast, well, I don't. But my schedule is I stopped seeing my doctor because I couldn't afford the copays. It just wasn't a cost we could make. So I can't see a doctor, okay? In the winter, we don't buy oil, so we have no heat. Another cost to save, to afford to live. That saying is so American and I despise it. Afford to live. Meanwhile, I work a job, my wife works a job, so we don't have heat. We don't, uh, I don't go see a doctor. I cut out that cost. I eat one meal a day, and most of that food is donation food, okay? And now, 1 week of being sick, her company's fighting her on sick time, and now I don't even know what we're doing. To listen to my wife that upset because she's like, stuff's about to get real hard. I'm going to have nothing in this paycheck. We don't know how we're going to pay rent. It's terrifying. And I don't think I'm alone in this, but I'm just sharing my story. And I share my story because what I'm about to talk to you about earnings calls is disgusting. When you know how much. Listen, I worked at McDonald's when I was 16 or 17. I worked there. And they still weren't paying enough. And for the people who go, well, it's a teenager's job. Number one, it's not, okay? When's the last time you've been to McDonald's and a teenager served you? It's not, okay? There are teenagers that work there, but the majority of people working there are not, and they don't pay a living wage. But we're about to talk about their profits and their $18 Big Mac meal. But even for the people who do like to say, oh, those jobs are entry-level jobs, they're teenager jobs. Why would you not want to pay teenagers enough to afford college, enough to, most of them are helping out their families, but why do teenagers get the stigma they shouldn't be paid? I don't get the answer that for me. If you're aware that everyone says you need to get a degree, you got to get educated. and it's going to cost this much because we're in capitalism America, why aren't we paying teenagers enough to afford to go to college? Why? Just riddle me that. You always got it's an entry level job, it's for teenagers. I always like to follow it up with, if you really believe those jobs are only for teenagers, let me ask you, does McDonald's, does Target, does Walmart, does Starbucks, do all these shops close at 7:30 when school's in session and then open back up at 3:30 when everybody's out and home and can get back to work? These shops don't close during those times. They don't close at 8 at night so kids can get home when they're not supposed to be working and doing homework. These are not teenagers' jobs. But good for buying into the propaganda. You've been tricked. By the way, I'm sitting in front of Camp Crystal Lake for anybody that's just tuning in. I was trying to sit over there because there's a beautiful frozen lake right now, but I can't do it because you drive down that pathway and there's no parking. I mean, what is the point of the beautiful views in America if it's just surrounded by strip malls? Jesus. Walgreens, Target, CVS, Walmart, McDonald's, Wendy's, Target, another CVS. All right, let's get into the $18 Big Mac because this is going to be a quick live stream. So, New York Post, ABC. Well, you can just read about this anywhere, okay? McDonald's has earnings calls. Disney's had earnings calls. So you're seeing all these stories. The big one with Disney is that Bob Iger said, like, we're not going to invest in new movies. We want to invest in franchises and sequels, which is just great for creativity, you know? Because they don't see it as profitable to put new flicks out there and test the waters with things. They're going to rely on sequels. And he said, we want to rein in Marvel. We want to stop putting out so much Marvel stuff. Which, listen, if Marvel's announcing, like, the lineup till 2051, I get it. You know, I totally get that. But, like, not putting out new movies when you're Disney, like, you're not hurting for cash. You're not closing down Disney World. You're not saying, hey, listen, we're shutting down Disney on Mondays and Tuesdays because we're struggling to get by. They're not taking pay cuts at the top. So why not invest in new scripts, new writers, new actors, new people that are coming up? This is the beauty of capitalism and mergers and, you know, having 5 companies in this country. But McDonald's, okay? McDonald's. Let's get into okay, so let me take you back in time. I'm going to bring you to how this story gets to here, how we get to February and the earnings calls. Back in October, after the fiscal quarter ended, McDonald's on Monday reported that its revenue was up 14% in the latest quarter. A surge at the burger giant was driven by strategic menu price increases. The Golden Arches brought in a total of $6.69 billion, okay? Billion. $1 billion in what, 3 months? What's a quarter? Yeah. So they say for a 3-month period ending September 30th, beating expectations. Again, expectations are just resentments under construction. Expectations of who? Wall Street? Why are you listening to Wall Street? Just run your business. This is the class war. Wall Street dictates everything. Everybody's trying to meet those expectations, and we'll find out in a minute. So, however, McDonald's has a branch in Darien, Connecticut, which is charging as much as $18 for a Big Mac combo meal, where in Times Square, it's only $13.69 for that same Big Mac combo meal. I don't know where it is by you. I know it's probably close to $12 by me, and this is insane. I would have to work 3 hours to afford a Big Mac combo meal. So that's their story back in October, and that ratings call. Now, the headline of ABC News from today is McDonald's stock price drops after CEO promises affordability during the latest earnings call. Now, I just want to get to the part, CEO Chris Kempczynski. F you, Chris. Now, these are all about Wall Street's expectations, which are resentments under construction, so Wall Street, suck it. But they said globally, their sales were up 3.4%. 3.4%, their sales. That translates to billions of dollars, okay? And they fell short of Wall Street's expectations. He said they were a result of the war in the Middle East. Domestically, however, the same store sales were up by 4.3%. 4.3, figure, celebrate. That's billions of dollars, right? And that money, don't worry, that money's not going to the workers or the teens or whoever you're mad at for working those jobs to get you that food, um, which was more closely aligned with the previous quarters and the company's expectations, which they quote unquote called normalized growth. Gross. Um, Now, their stock dropped because the CEO said we're going to see more attention to affordability for low income customers because they're worried that with the prices and inflation, more consumers are shopping and cooking at home. This is McDonald's goal. They don't want you buying groceries and cooking at home. They want you lining up for that $18 Big Mac meal. So now that they're going to, and he had a LinkedIn thing, I want to go right on his LinkedIn because F this dude and his $18 whatever. So now that the CEO said, oh, we're going to focus on affordability, their stocks tumbled. I can't find the percentage here. But their stocks tumbled. Wall Street said, you're going to focus on people affording things? And the stocks dropped, which is all just imaginary. This is all made up. By the way, that's Camp Crystal Lake. I don't know if it's the Jason Voorhees one. No, it's just Crystal Lake, so it's not Camp Crystal Lake. That's why I'm sitting here. I just couldn't sit over by the lake and show you that. Shut up! Um, so that's just a peek inside, and this is very important. You know, if you've never been on an earnings call, if you've never heard some, I watch them. I watch the radio ones because they post them on YouTube. This is vital information. You really need to know this stuff. I'm going to try to come on live again later, but just be prepared. The $18 Big Mac meal is coming to you because once they said we're going to focus on affordability, what happened? Their stock dropped. And God forbid a company's stock drops, right? You thought America was about industry and about workers and about the economy dealing with job growth. That's all bullshit. So a long time ago, it used to be the customer's always right. Now you have companies position themselves saying, we value our workers, but really the only thing this economy, these businesses care about is dividends, shareholders, investors, and CEOs. That's it. Oh, what's up, Mr. Brainiac, Ample Thought? How you guys doing? I'm gonna go. I gotta go get some stuff done. Hopefully, I'm gonna pop on here again. So if you can subscribe, hit the little bell. It will notify you when I go live. I'm going live 5 days a week. This is the class war. This is the struggle. Solidarity. Workers of the world unite. What are the abbreviations for that? WOWU, WOWU, WOWU. Workers of the world unite. Solidarity is the only way through this. That's why they fight unionism. That's why they don't want you to organize. And even Mr. Brainiac, if you are, buy Bitcoin. We found the one dude who's happy, the Staples Center, that LA Arena, is that the one that's named cryptocurrency.com or whatever they called it? We found the one guy, which by the way, when they spent 200 million on that 30-year thing, they laid off everybody and everybody else lost their money. But at least they got the naming rights to the Lakers place. Jesus. All right, guys, make sure you subscribe. Thanks so much for tuning in. I want to talk about Super Bowl's coming up. So something I want to address is how us taxpayers are flipping the bill for these stadiums that are being built, how the stadiums become tax exempt, and how whenever you hear people say, oh, the job creators bring a sports team into a city and they create jobs, they don't. And there's economic professors, I don't know what you call them, people who study this, and they have determined that, 12 weeks a year, 4 to 6 hours a day, or no, sorry, 12 days a year, it's not even weeks, but 12 days a year for, let's just call it 10 hours a day of a football game being played where they hire people is not the economic boom people think. And most of the time, the cost of tickets takes away from something they could be spending locally on not a tax exempt place. So thanks so much. Hit subscribe. Yeah, I would cut the T out though. Whoa-woo. Because you don't want to call it what-woo. What-woo. Whoa-woo. Workers of the world unite. Solidarity to all in the struggle. I hope your day is going better than mine. I am terrified, stressed, knot in my stomach. Can't eat my one meal that I usually do a day. Horrified of what's going on. And I know I'm not the only one. So if you're going through it, man, my heart goes out to you. I pray for you too. And God, if you're listening, give me a sign, man. I keep asking for one. Anything. All right. I love you guys. Cook your own meals. Yeah. But McDonald's doesn't want you to. That's a sick mindset. All right. Thanks so much. Hit subscribe, like, leave a comment, and hit the bell notification for later. Peace.